Have you ever felt like your mind is both a gift and a burden? Like you see things others ignore, but instead of being admired for it, you're met with silence, rejection, or even resentment. It's a lonely feeling, isn't it? To be awake in a world that craves sleep, to notice the cracks in the walls when everyone else is busy admiring the paint, to see through illusions while others cling to them for comfort. You've probably learned painfully that the more deeply you think, the less people want to listen, not because your ideas are wrong, but because they expose truths most people would rather avoid. This isn't just in your imagination. History, psychology, and philosophy all reveal the same uncomfortable truth. Intelligence isolates. The curse of seeing too clearly is that it makes you a stranger in your own time. Why society fears the deep thinker? Think back to Socrates. He wasn't hated because he was foolish, was hated because he questioned what others took for granted. The Athenians sentenced him to death not for ignorance, but for asking too many dangerous questions. Or take Galileo. He dared to whisper that the earth revolves around the sun. For that, he was silenced because his truth shattered the fragile comfort of an entire worldview. And then there's Nietzsche, who declared God is dead. He wasn't mocking. Religion was exposing the terrifying void left when our inherited beliefs collapse. His honesty was too much for most, and he died isolated, misunderstood, and broken. The pattern repeats itself. Those who think too deeply, who see too clearly, often live on the fringes. They're not celebrated until centuries later after society is caught up. But why does this happen? Why does intelligence provoke such resistance? The mirror effect. Here's the uncomfortable answer. When you stand next to someone strong, you don't feel weak. You admire them. When you see someone rich, you may feel envy, but you don't feel attacked. But when you encounter someone more intelligent, something inside you recoils. You feel threatened, even if they say nothing. Psychologists call this the mirror effect. A deep thinker doesn't just share new ideas, he reflects back the limitations of those around them. And people rarely forgive that, because unlike wealth or beauty, intelligence touches identity. You are your thoughts, your beliefs, your understanding of the world. So when someone questions them, it feels like they're questioning you. This is why intelligence creates distance. It doesn't just challenge ideas, it challenges egos. And human beings will do almost anything to protect their egos from discomfort. The tribal instinct. But the resistance goes even deeper down to our biology. Imagine our ancestors living in tribes. Survival didn't depend on being the smartest person in the group. It depended on belonging. If you were rejected by the tribe, you died. That's how evolution shaped our brains, to value acceptance over truth. This means when you question the group's beliefs, when you think too differently, you unknowingly threaten that harmony. The group doesn't see you as insightful. They see you as dangerous. Modern neuroscience confirms this. When people feel intellectually inferior, their brain's amygdala fear center lights up. Deep thinking literally triggers the same survival circuits as facing a predator. This is why intelligent people often feel alienated, not because they lack social skills, but because their very presence disrupts the balance of the group. The thinker becomes the outsider not by choice, but by nature. The hidden biases that silence you, and it doesn't stop there. Several cognitive biases work against deep thinkers. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Those who know little often think they know a lot, while those who know a lot often doubt themselves. This creates tension. The loudest voices are often the least informed. Status quo bias. People cling to the familiar, even when it's false. Your ideas may be true, but if they disrupt comfort, they'll be ignored. The backfire effect. When presented with evidence that contradicts their beliefs, people don't change, they double down. The more you challenge, the stronger their resistance becomes. And in today's digital age, this resistance is amplified. Social media rewards simple, emotional sound bites and nuance. Viral influencers thrive by telling people what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. Meanwhile, deep thinkers struggle to compress their truths into catchy, bite-sized content. The result? A world that values entertainment over enlightenment. Schopenhauer's curse. Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher of pessimism, went even further. He believed intelligence is not a gift, but a curse. Why? Because most people live under what he called the will to live blind drive for pleasure, comfort, and survival. They don't want truth. They want ease. But highly intelligent people develop the will to truth. They can't help but peel back the layers of illusion, even if it hurts. While most find meaning in relationships, routines, and distractions, deep thinkers see through them. They crave something more real, something deeper even if it leads to loneliness. For Schopenhauer, the more you understand, the harder it becomes to be happy. Happiness, he argued, belongs more to the ignorant than the wise, because ignorance allows for bliss. Awareness only sharpens the pain, the loneliness of awareness. Maybe you felt this yourself. Sitting in a room full of chatter, you find the conversations empty, hollow. You wonder how others find joy in gossip. In surface-level noise, you try to introduce a deeper idea and the room goes quiet. Then someone changes the subject. That sting you feel in that silence is not just rejection. It's proof of what Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, and countless thinkers before you knew. The more you see, the less you belong. Awareness alienates, clarity isolates, and yet you can unsee what you see. A different kind of strength. But here's the twist. Maybe that loneliness is not a weakness, but a different kind of strength. Bonhoeffer, a German theologian who was executed for resisting Hitler, wrote that true freedom comes not from conforming to the crowd, but from standing alone when conscience demands it. Nietzsche, despite his despair, spoke of the Burmish one who creates meaning in a world where old values have collapsed. He believed that those strong enough to endure the weight of truth could transform loneliness into power. Plato, in his allegory of the cave, described philosophers as those who escape the shadows and see reality. But when they return to the cave to share what they've seen, the others resist, even violently. Still, he argued, the task of the thinker is to return anyway to bring light, even if it burns, the final burden. So maybe the curse of seeing too clearly is also its responsibility. Yes, it will cost you belonging. Yes, it will make you an outsider. But perhaps that is the price of vision. Because society doesn't change through conformity, it changes through those few who refuse to look away. You may not be understood today. You may not be celebrated in your lifetime. But neither were the thinkers who shaped history. The curse of intelligence is isolation, but the gift of intelligence is clarity. And clarity, oh lonely, is the only thing that has ever moved humanity forward. Conclusion. So if you feel disconnected, if you feel the sting of being misunderstood, know this: you are not broken. You are not wrong for craving depth in a shallow world. You are simply awake where others are still dreaming. And while the dreamers may resent you now, history has always belonged to those who dare to open their eyes. The more you think, the lonelier you may become. But perhaps, in that loneliness, you will discover a truth deeper than belonging. That seeing clearly, even if it costs you everything, is still worth it.